Good morning or good afternoon, judges. Today, we as Group 5 are presenting a biography about Abraham Lincoln. His early life. Abraham Lincoln came from Hutchinsville, Kentucky, USA. He was born on February 12, 1809. He moved to southern Indiana in 1816, and in 1830 his family moved to Macon County, and he got a job working on a river flatboat hauling freight down the Mississippi River to New Orleans. His dedication. Abraham Lincoln was self-educated. He persisted as an avid reader and developed a lifelong interest in reading. Some of his favorite books are Robinson Crusoe and the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. Growing up, Abraham was very tall and athletic, and soon became a county wrestling champion. Moving to New Salem, he quickly became a popular member of the town. 6 months after he arrived in the town, he let his ambitions get the best of him and declared himself an independent candidate for a seat in the Illinois state legislature. A few weeks later, the Black Hawk War began, and Lincoln volunteered to fight the Indians. Other volunteers elected him the temporary captain of their company, an honor he valued more than his nomination for the presidency. And off they marched to war, which was a 30-day stint. Being a Republican leader. Lincoln repeatedly mentioned how much he hated slavery in his speeches. In the Peoria speech, he declared his opposition to slavery, which he repeated. Being the leader of the Republican Party, Lincoln dedicated the Republican Party to anti-slavery.
Presidential election. In November 1860, Lincoln faced Douglas again, who was part of the Democratic Party. Lincoln won the election after running for president twice. Lincoln's victory angered the Southern states. The Southern states, who were Democrats, threatened Abraham Lincoln in the election year. Emancipation Proclamation. On January 14, 1863, Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. With it, he freed all slaves in the rebellious states, including Tennessee and certain occupied parts of Louisiana and Virginia, as well as the loyal states, slave states. Vicksburg captured. After a number of months fighting, General Ulysses S. Grant finally captures Vicksburg, Mississippi, a Confederate stronghold. Capturing Vicksburg gives the Union control over the entirety of Mississippi. Shortly thereafter, Lincoln appoints Grant as Lieutenant General, saying, "Grant is my man, and I am his the rest of the war." Lincoln reelected. After multiple decisive Union victories in Alabama and in Atlanta, Abraham Lincoln is reelected as President of the United States, with Andrew Johnson as his vice president. Lincoln won with 212 votes to McClellan's 21. Introduction of the 13th Amendment. With Lincoln's influence, the House of Representatives approves the 13th Amendment, which says, "For the emancipation of all slaves and no compensation to the owners." The 13th Amendment had two sections. Section 1 read, "Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction." Section 2 stated that Congress had the power to pass legislation to enforce the abolition of slavery.
Lincoln's assassination. The summary of his assassination. On April 11, 1865, John Wilkes Booth started firing at Lincoln, who was giving a speech on the rights for Black people and slaves. Booth's plan. After doing his speech, he and his wife were about to attend a play with Grant at the Ford's Theater. Booth's plan was to assassinate Lincoln and Grant. However, Grant changed his mind and went out with his kids instead. The timeline of his assassination. At 10:15, Booth snuck up to the back of where Lincoln was sitting. Booth then rapidly fired his gun into the back of Lincoln's head, which put Lincoln into a coma for 8 hours. Lincoln got shot. After Lincoln got shot, Lincoln's guest, Major Henry Rathbone, got into a scuffle with Booth, but then got stabbed, which gave Booth an opportunity for a quick getaway. After being in coma for 8 hours, Abraham Lincoln died at 7:22 a.m. of April 15. Booth after the assassination. Booth fled through Maryland, stopping to have his leg treated, which had been hurt after he shot Lincoln by Samuel A. Mudd. Booth then had to hide as a $100,000 bounty was placed on his head. On April 26, federal troops arrived at a farm in Virginia, where Booth was hiding in a tobacco farm. Booth refused to surrender, then he was shot, possibly by a soldier or by himself. He was carried to a porch of a farmhouse where he died. Lincoln's character strength. Outstanding leadership. Lincoln had self-awareness, and he can easily switch moods. Lincoln had good integrity, strong beliefs in his principles, and good communication skills. His key contributions to society. Lincoln led the United States to defeat the Confederacy. He preserved the Union, and he abolished slavery. Here are the sites used for our research of this PowerPoint. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
listening.